Is Xi Jinping pumping Bitcoin to $100 million? Is Optimism about to dethrone Polygon? And will we see a wizard on Dogecoin? We're going to figure that out when we go around the blockchain. Well. It's me, and you're here on Around the Blockchain. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, degens of all wallet sizes, we have got a fantastic show for you tonight. Coming up, we've got Farmer Nash. First time on the show. Welcome, Mr. Nash. What is your almanac saying these days?
Awesome, and thank you so much, Nick, for having me. Appreciate you. The almanac says we're bullish, but not too bullish. And I might not have said that. I might have just said that myself, but we'll find out.
Fantastic. Next up, we have our own Kelly Kellam in the lab making a concoction. Kelly, you were live this morning. Can you give us like a 15-second summary of what you were talking about this morning?
Market could go up, could go down. There's signals on both sides of it. I'll say really, in all honesty, there's a lot of bearishness coming in, but there's also, we can't forget that there's a lot of liquidity potentially right on the doorstep coming out of China and Hong Kong. And we also seeing the money printer already started over there. So could that be sort of a precursor to something that could be happening for that first initial bullish impulse of 2023? We'll have to see.
Boom. And then next up, we've got the actual OG of crypto blood.
Nick.
What? Yeah. I mean, look, we've got Bloodalytics. We've got HODL Blood. What are you not in these days, dude?
Hey, I'm going to show you really quickly where the market is going. It's going up, down, down, left, right. A, B, start. All right, let's go, ladies.
That's right. We got some Konami code. I love it. All right. Well, let's get into it. And then before we get into it, real quick, go ahead, hit subscribe, hit like. We actually have memberships now. You can join the channel. It is a paltry $2.99 a month to be a member of Around the Blockchain. You get emojis, you get a whole bunch of stuff for free. And $2.99, that's like, you're basically paying for a pile of garbage at Starbucks for $2.99. So why not give it to us and help spread the crypto love? So we're going to talk about Bitcoin and crypto bracing for almost 100 billion coming in. Bitcoin pumped up to 25K and is 50% up since the beginning of the year. In your face, Charlie Munger. Over $100 billion combined crypto market has poured into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other projects like XRP, ADA, Dogematic, and oddly enough, Solana. Traders are increasingly cheering what appears to be a softening of China's stance toward crypto following its brutal crackdown. So they basically told everyone, you can no longer sell or do any sort of trading with Bitcoin. They said that basically at the top of 2021. And then just now they've said, actually, you can start buying some crypto again. So did the CCP actually help their entire country sell the top? I don't know. Someone may have an opinion about that. But not only is the CCP softening their stance against crypto, but we have Hong Kong has opened up and softened their stance to crypto regulation. I believe they're going to be opening up a pathway for there to be regulated crypto exchanges in Hong Kong. And while on paper, Hong Kong only has $500 billion in GDP, which puts them like nowhere near California. I think California has $5 trillion. What you don't understand, what most people don't understand, is there a gigantic shadow market? There's a gigantic shadow economy in Hong Kong with literally untold hundreds of billions of dollars of liquidity growing through it. And you can thank casinos for that. So let's go around the blockchain. Blood, let's go to you first. How much of a correlation is there between Bitcoin's price and China's announcement, if any at all?
No, I don't look at that as a correlation too much. Maybe, a percentage, 10, 15, 20%, something like that. Of course, it's not zero. It definitely had an impact on the price. But I think this run up, really, we should be looking at the correlation with equities, because equities is up or has been up pretty well. It's been taking back some of those gains the last couple of days. But since the new year, we were up almost 10%. So it correlates seeing Bitcoin and crypto markets up as well, rallying into the new year. I think we're going to fade that rally, though. We're losing steam. We're losing a little momentum in that. So I don't really give China all the credit. I give more of it to just a broader move in the market up with liquidity coming into the markets for the new year.
Okay, got it. So Kelly Kellam, let's talk about basically the money printers being turned back on, but not here in the United States. It seems like almost a one-to-one, but kind of throw us into the spotlight of what is happening around the world as people are trying to offset what the Fed is doing here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at this right here. Let me know if this shows
Whoa.
up.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is a money printer in China, which is the money to M2 supply. This M2CN is the China money supply. And look at this sort of precursor where you see the gray area. Right at the very end of that gray area is where we had the FTX collapse. And of course, we had that sort of bottom area. And anybody that was following on-chain charts would have also seen that it wasn't until FTX collapse happened that the price broke below the long-term holder realized price. And so this has always proven to be a good area for very good, sort of heavy accumulation. And in addition to that, we see not only that on the charts from historical perspective, it was good accumulation, but we're also seeing the precursor to the pump that we just had starting at the very beginning of this year, that the money printer in China was already sort of kicking on. So there was a bearish divergence on sort of global money supply that was coming in. Now, the question is here. I don't even remember what your question to me is, but my thoughts here are the question now becomes, how much is our Fed and our government and monetary policy going to be tied to actually getting inflation down to 2% versus battling this other, massive world power, China? And when we see our money supply is still going flat, we still have quantitative tightening, we still have interest rate hikes. We're having all these things while China's economy is starting to kickstart itself. And in addition to that, we have all this stuff going on with, how amazing blockchain, Bitcoin, and crypto ecosystem is. And if we don't get ourselves in gear, we're going to get absolutely left behind. So I apologize. I don't even remember what your question was, but if you needed me to rephrase
this question is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. No, I mean, just keep talking.
Once I saw that, once I saw that chart, I pulled that up. That's just such a amazing thing to look at. Because, because when we think about the dollar, the Bitcoin price, we always relate it very heavily to what's going on with the dollar index. And the dollar index is a good relationship, a correlation between understanding risk on, risk off appetite, because when the dollar is going up, it's very heavily correlated to when risk off appetites are in all markets, global markets, other than treasuries and bonds. And so when we see the dollar going up, we have to also understand that the dollar going up isn't just weighed against, money coming into the market, going out of the market. It's also weighed against a basket of six or seven other massive world currencies. So when we think about China and what they're doing, or as some people say, China, we see what they're doing, kicking the money supply up. That's going to have an impact on what we thought our trajectory and what our plan was going to be more locally here in the U.S. because we still have to contend with other global economies.
Exactly. So Farmer Nash, by the way, Billy Pop, $5 super chat. Nifty League Nash, what's up, Farmer? You've got love in the chat already. This is fantastic.
Let's go.
So
love to hear it.
So, Mr. Nash, you're really big into NFT gaming, blockchain gaming, and you saw a gigantic pump with Axie Infinity as there was just so much liquidity sloshing around during the bull market. How much has the drawback affected the NFT gaming, just overall ecosystem and the development? And do you see that coming back with sort of leading the pack in the next bull run, or is it going to slingshot following Bitcoin's lead?
Yeah, so I really think that the whole NFT market is actually very correlated with Bitcoin. As we all know, like once Bitcoin pumps, then the alts go, and then usually we see NFT prices go up too. Whether it's in like the native currency, let's say ETH or something, or it's a USD value. Usually, as the market goes up, the NFT values go up. So really, we're just kind of what the other guys said here. We're waiting for the macro to settle or to make a decision whether it wants to go up, down, or just chill out right here for a bit. And that's really going to affect the NFT market. When it comes to what happened with Axie Infinity, we'll say, then yeah, I mean, a lot of play to earn games and NFT games in general, they learned. A lot of them still have tokenized economies. They're not doing too well. They're suffering really hard from this bear market. And I personally don't think they'll come back even in during the next bull cycle. But yeah, you definitely have to be careful when you build out an economy for a play to earn game in the current state of the market.
So are you saying that Smooth Love Potion is no longer a must buy?
It was never a must buy, but it was a fun time,
Indeed, indeed. So before we move on, I just want to get like your kind of bull run predictions on like when it's going to start. Do you think it's going to be really still halving related, or is there going to be some event to where is it a Fed pivot? Is it some sort of other event where a bunch of liquidity gets turned on overseas, or is there going to be some other type of liquidity event that's really going to supercharge the bull run? What do you think that is going to? What do you think is going to be the rocket fuel besides the halving? We'll start with blood.
Yeah, Nick. It's not even a Fed pivot. It's a Fed pause. The other P.
Okay.
Once they pause, it is on, and then they're going to have to come back around and start hiking again. So I think it's kind of a catch-22 situation that we're in. So I think we will potentially see a move up once the Fed pauses. But unfortunately, I think that we're going to see another at least 150 basis point hike coming this year. Don't know the timing, but it definitely is coming because I think the markets are still inflated, they're overheating. You're seeing the meme stocks go crazy again. So you still got a lot of what Greenspan called irrational exuberance going on in the markets. And I think they still want to keep a hold and a peg on that. So I think that is what I'm looking for. That's what Crypto Blood is looking for, what the Federal Reserve is doing. And so if they pause, then it's off to the races and we'll see a big move up in cryptos.
Okay, fantastic. We've got Kenton Smith with a $5 super chat telling us to check out Bloodalytics. Now that is some you got a gang. You have influence. If you have sent people,
I'm in the red square today, baby. I'm in the red square.
This is scary stuff. Okay, we got to get to Kelly quick. Kelly, what do you think?
Well, first off, I agree with a lot of what Blood said, but I disagree a little bit because I think that once we get the pivot,
Blood, where's that
I do
gap?
think that yeah, I do think that we're going to get some sort of impulse to the upside. But if we look at this chart right here, look at where Fed pivots have been historically, and then the lowest low in that sort of pullback happens after Fed pivots. So the question here that is going to be is, because we're in such a unique sort of framework for why we are in the situation we are with the global economic shutdown of March of 2020, that then sort of, made all government, not all, but the large majority of large government, world governments do a lot of money printing. Inflation's not just in the US, it's global in most places right now. And so there are supply chain logistics, I can't speak, supply chain logistic issues that also compounded this effect. And so I think some of these issues are going to naturally work themselves out. And that's what I think the Fed is trying to figure out. So it's hard to look at historical charts right now as to what happened in previous sort of situations that were somewhat similar, because we don't have any model for a global economic shutdown and how world economies respond after that. So I'm still of the opinion that we will get a bullish impulse this year. And I don't mean this small 40% rise. I'm talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of somewhere between 38 on the low side and up to 47 maybe on the high side, maybe up to 52, but really in that 38 to 45 level pullback. If you look back at 2019, we had a similar sort of setup when we pushed from $3,700 up to nearly 14,000, and then we pulled back and then continued on to the upside. So the question is, will we have the liquidity required, the liquidity and the risk on appetite required to get that bullish impulse? If not, then either way, I'm still okay DCAing, being bored as I could be. I'm happy being bored with it being sideways, it being further down. And we are in those zones. So I do think we're going to have a strong sort of reaction after the halving for sure.
Nick, really quickly though, just to rebuttal what Kelly said, the chart he showed was correct. That was a Fed pivot. A pivot is different than a pause. We all know that the Federal Reserve is always behind the eight ball. They're always lagging. So when they pivot, that means we're in I don't want to curse on here, but we're into bad trouble. All right, we're in deep in it. If they're pivoting, that means they're trying to re-energize, get the markets, get the economy back going. But a pause to me is a little different. So the pause scenario, I do see us rallying. A pivot for sure, we're going to drop. So I agree there with Kelly.
Okay.
I agree with that. Thanks for pointing that out. It's a good point.
Okay, cool. I'm glad we all can agree. That's all for our on the blockchain. No, we've got
we're
Crypto
done.
Billy
Yeah, we're
111. He just gave a $19 super chat, waiting for Kelly to do an 8 p.m. live stream so I can catch him live. We working folk can't watch at 10:30 a.m. PS by Bloodalytics. Holy crap, Blood! You're sending your people into my chat. What's going on with this?
Bullish.
I love it. I love all this stuff. Okay, so Mr. Nash.
Mr. Nash.
Yeah! There it is. Mr. Nash. So assuming that we've got Euphoria set again, we've got Bitcoin breaking 50K, we've got a lot of altcoins pumping. Now, gaming is going to be the nexus for normies. It is how people get onboarded. It's how normies get onboarded into crypto. In this next bull run, with your extensive knowledge of gaming and NFTs, what project or what game or what company has positioned themselves to take advantage of the explosive gains that we're going to see in the next bull run?
Definitely. And real quick, I want to touch on what they were saying about a Fed pivot versus kind of a pause here in the interest rates. I used to be a mortgage loan officer, right? So I would stare at that chart all day, every day. And I want to say to anyone who's listening, we have no idea, what the Fed is going to do. Sometimes they'll say one thing, they might follow it, they might raise the rate a bit, they might raise it more. Like, we really don't know what's going to happen. And that's literally the indicator probably for what's going to happen in the macro market. So I really like what they were saying. Be careful on that. Wait for them to make a move, act accordingly, or just keep DCAing, which is what I'm doing. So regarding video games, there's two different categories I like to put in. So there's one where I'm going to buy their tokens and I'm going to make money. I'm going to invest in those. And then there's two where I genuinely think like these will be good for mass adoption, right? So the ones that I'm going to make money, they're teams that are building. They maybe aren't getting the type of recognition that they should be right now, or at least could be getting. And they have a token, right? Because the tokens are probably going to get liquidity flowing in once Bitcoin and the other coins rise. So if I were to choose that, I would go with something. If we wanted to go more reputable and not low cap, I would say probably just Gala. And I'm not sure about this one, but Ronin might be a decent bet. It's one of the only Ronin is the blockchain that hosts Axie Infinity. They're the world's largest Web3 game, and really that's one of the only kind of companies that has a great infrastructure. There's a few more, but they're one of the only ones that has a token that may rise with the success of the bull run and gaming too.
Interesting. Yeah. And it's funny that Ronin was one of the projects that FTX specifically targeted as a Solana competitor, and they heavily manipulated Ronin token all the way down to the ground. So just by that fact alone, that Alameda and Sam were both threatened by Ronin and what they're trying to do speaks volumes to what that team has actually been able to accomplish. So interesting pick there. I like it. Let's move on to Coinbase and their new blockchain. But before we get into it, you better hit that like. I swear, if you don't hit that like button, Gary Gensler's going to show up, and it's not going to be cute. Okay? So hit that like button, hit subscribe, and while you're at it, follow all the guests here. Like, the people that we have on stage are OP to the max. And I'm not talking about optimism. I'm talking about overpowered. Coinbase has launched an Ethereum layer 2, called Base. It's not based, it's Base. But it's on Optimism. And what they want to be is they want to be basically the one-stop bridge for all Ethereum-based projects. So Base will be a layer 2 blockchain designed to be low-cost, secure, and developer-friendly. They just announced this today, I think. Well, they teased it over the past couple of days. So Optimism went up by 20% and down by 16% or so. So it's kind of been topsy-turvy. Let's go take a look at Optimism real quick. At the chart. Let's look at the chart. Look at that. Oh, yeah. So we got a little bit of like, oh, yeah. And then, so
it's like a heartbeat.
It's like a heartbeat. And I'm actually like, I'm looking at getting into Optimism. I've been waiting for it to get closer to $2. I don't know if that's going to happen anymore. So I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid and start going for it. But that's just me. Everything I say is financial advice for myself, but that's it. Let's see. So it added $150 million to its market cap in just 24 hours. So now it's ranked 77, 75 on CoinMarketCap. Okay. So this was a huge announcement. I don't think it can be understated just how massive this is, because Coinbase has effectively put itself into the middle of the layer 2 and layer 1 wars. So, Kelly Kellam, how do you expect this partnership will affect the price of OP?
Well, I think we need to consider always, anytime I look at the charts and I'm trying to identify if I want to invest in an asset or not, I always try to look at it. I look at it like a 3 market cycle strategy. I like to, no matter what, look at the context of the broader markets. That's the first thing, and then the 3 market cycle strategy is looking at the macro, and the midterm, and the micro when I'm looking for an entry, understanding the landscape we're in, understanding the more local time frame, and then finding that entry on that very small time frame for the best sort of opportunity for profits. Now, when we understand the macro right now, is that we still haven't fully established that we are actually pushing very, very strong and convincingly into a bull run. All we've had is one bullish impulse. We very well could roll over and still fill that CME gap on Bitcoin down at 19,900. So when I'm looking at something like Optimism pumping, or any of the, we had the huge AI pump after ChatBT blew up. So when we have low liquidity in the markets and there's still a lot of fear and a bit of uncertainty, and we're getting to levels where people are taking profits, and you have to remember, I did a whole video about this when I was filming some of the content for BitLab Academy earlier. We have to remember to pay ourselves. It's not fun just to have theoretical money and then never have the opportunity to let that affect, positively affect our life. So when you do have a massive pump on something like that, it doesn't mean you need to take 100% profits, but take out 30, 40, 50% and let the rest ride, because then essentially you've reallocated funds that was, free funds, and that profit that you made on that push up, and you can reallocate that to strengthen other positions, or even take some off the table, put into dry powder, or even into your bank account. So I think it will affect Optimism in the long run. However, right now, just like we saw that heartbeat, a lot of liquidity in, a lot of profit taking, and the price pull back. So I think for me, I hadn't seen that all day because I've been filming all day. But as soon as I saw that it did drop back 16%, I'm looking at DCAing into that, because I know if it has the backing of something in a partnership with something like Coinbase, that the situation is set up for a positive upside into the next bull run.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm going to go to Farmer Nash with this next question, but I am going to step out and I'm going to give my own price prediction for Optimism, but only I'm going to post it on the community page, and you can only see it if you are a member of Around the Blockchain. So I'll be doing that the next day or two. So Farmer Nash, Ethereum is a behemoth. There are so many games on Ethereum. And now we have basically the funnel to to bridge all these NFTs across Ethereum now. Has this cemented Ethereum as the number 1 layer 1 blockchain? Or can anyone compete now?
Yeah, look, so Ethereum was kind of like, aside from Bitcoin, I guess we'll say first to market, right? So they have an advantage. More people knew about them. They have smart contracts coming out way before a lot of other chains, things like that. But when it comes to other chains, it's really just, what's their competitive advantage and how are they actually getting the word out there? What problems do they solve? When I saw this Optimism, it's like, so we have a layer 2 on Coinbase now, right? We saw their NFT marketplace. And for any of you guys that don't know, they do close to no volume on the Coinbase NFT marketplace. So that didn't go very well. And yeah, that was kind of a meme for a while.
It was.
So just because it's backed by Coinbase, I'm not going to say it's like, hey, this is going to be successful or anything like that. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
So what game do you think is positioned to maximize their reach with this partnership, now that you have a bunch of normies on Coinbase who can actually buy NFTs and swap them out?
Yeah, I really just think it's going to go to all the big boys who are already taking advantage of Ethereum, but most of them have already moved to let's say like Matic, or Polygon, or another chain. So you can't really have a game on Ethereum or on an L1 because most of them aren't really scalable enough for a lot of the transactions that take place.
Yeah. So something like, what was not Illuvium? I brought it up earlier before the show. IMX, Immutable X. Is it that's fast enough?
So Immutable X has a lot of benefits. Specifically like you can get your NFTs and you can have like special character. Yeah, I know.
Are you
ghost
safe?
behind me.
Sarah Luna just walked in this.
Are you safe right now? Is Satoshi in the room with us?
I don't know who's in the room with me. I could have just got robbed and I would have no idea. But
Okay.
I think you need some. I
hardware
think you need the healthcare benefits from ICX with that ghost in your house.
yeah, right. But IMX has a lot of unique properties that make it specifically good for gaming, such as like if you get XP in a video game, it'll literally alter your NFT, right? And I can level up my NFT, sell it to someone who maybe just wants to pay to get that progress and not really grind out the game. So when it comes to like investing in games and NFTs for gaming, then usually I would kind of stick with a similar strategy as to what people do with non-gaming things, right? Go for the L1s, go for the big players, and then allocate a smaller portion to like kind of the runners or the smaller games with more potential. That's what I'm doing.
Gotcha. Okay, Blood. So we have Optimism has now saddled their horse to one of the biggest players in all of crypto, in one of the most highly regulated players in all of crypto. Is this going to be rocket fuel for Optimism, or have they just hitched up their wagon to a giant dead weight?
This is rocket fuel for sure, Nick.
Okay.
And I think Kelly was talking about like taking profits, right? And I think what's applicable here is the fact that people should be positioning themselves for people taking profits with Matic, and they will rotate into other L2 chains. I think Optimism is primed for, no pun intended there, Optimus Prime is primed for
those
a
are
huge
DZ
move
level
up.
puns. That's very good.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I think it's definitely a position for a great move up, Nick. And I would be looking at that one. It's not financial advice, but I've been saying Optimism is a great one to look at. If you miss the Matic move up, you should definitely look into Optimism. Just surely just on the fact that people are going to take profits or have been taking profits, and they're going to look for the next L2, or the people who missed the first L2 wave with Matic, they're going to jump on this Optimism train. So this is a good play, in my opinion. I think they're going to do very well, and you'll see them move up, definitely.
Okay, so I want to go around the blockchain real quick in 30 seconds. Is Polygon now in the sights of Optimism, i.e., can Optimism dethrone Matic?
I absolutely think so, because I just looked at the price, the percent to all-time high, and Optimism is only 9% away from price discovery. So that being this early in a potential bull run means that there could be a lot of sort of hype that comes in early on in this coin.
Yeah, definitely. Right. I think they've got them on the radar for sure, and they should.
Okay.
As I just stated, portfolio rotation. You're going to see people move money from Matic to other L2s, not just Optimism, but since we're talking about Optimism, it's definitely into Optimism.
All right, Farmer Nash, do you think developers are going to start looking more at Optimism now to build on instead of Matic?
I think developers are going to go wherever they can make the most money, and wherever they don't have to learn a new programming language, to be honest. So
got it.
That's really all I know about this situation.
Yep, got it. Okay, well, we're going to get down and dirty, and we're going to talk about an altcoin that has pumped 150%. No, it's not a meme coin. It's actually a regulated coin from the SEC. It's your boy, not Optimism. It's Stacks. Stacks has pumped. Stacks. Yeah, I know. Blood's excited about this. Stacks has pumped. Look at this chart. Hang on. The one day is like, oh, okay, cool. And the 7 days is like, oh wow, that's really cool. And you look at the 3 months. Oh baby. Actually, can I get a oh yeah in the chat from everyone? Because I just asked for it from the chat, and then Kelly just offered it up. So that's fantastic. But yeah, this is a fantastic pump. But look, let's get into why this is happening to Stacks. So Stacks has been around for years. They've been around for years. They actually went through an entire process with the SEC to be considered a commodity. So they have all of this kind of regulatory green light built in, and they're essentially a layer 2 to Bitcoin. So they're not Lightning, they're not a fork, they're a layer 2 to Bitcoin. So they're up 150%. According to Dune, Bitcoin-based protocols, ordinals have seen over 150K tokens minted since the protocol launched on January 1st. And that's kind of where all this comes together. You have these things, ordinals, which I have an opinion on. I don't know if I should share or not. We have these things called ordinals that are actually, if you could take my screen here real quick, You got these incredibly serious pieces of art that you can
I would buy that.
that you can inscribe on one single Satoshi. And BJ, that's the next graphic that we have. That has led to the Bitcoin. Yeah, the
Wait,
one.
You want a graphic?
Yeah, BJ.
Oh,
We talked
fine.
about this. There it is. So as soon as Ordinals started kicking off, the Bitcoin blocks really have filled up as far as their size. So it looks like they were, roughly halfway filled to, I don't know, just over like 52% or what have you. And now
basically
that people
no one using Bitcoin, basically. What it means.
Sure. There's not, depending on who you ask, they're saying now Bitcoin is being used to the fullest. So Stacks is already set up to do all of this work that Ordinals can do, because there are some people on Twitter who say seed phrases are the most difficult thing ever. And yet at the same time, will basically tunnel into the Bitcoin blockchain to make an Ordinal. Ordinals are not easy to do, okay? They require an extensive knowledge of blockchain, but Stacks makes it a heck of a lot easier. And that is part of the reason why Stacks has seen such an increase in volume and price. So let's see. We just kind of got to get some basics under control here. So Kelly, can you explain like what an ordinal is in like 1 minute?
Absolutely not. I haven't been paying attention to ordinals. I've been in the lab, man. I've been in the lab filming content. But what I will say about it is, without even knowing specific, I know that I know the loose sort of terms on it. What I'm more interested in about it is, when you're looking at any sort of asset, the more use case you have for an asset, the more value it's going to have over time. And some people are worried about it slowing down the blockchain network, clogging up the blockchain network, a number of different things like this. However, the more we stress these sorts of networks, the more adaptation and evolution comes within them, more technological advancements come within them, the more incentive people have to utilize things like the Lightning Network. So we're creating more broad use case, more value in the network by being able to integrate more things within Bitcoin. And Bitcoin itself, if you're just going to use it as a store of value, you're going to appreciate that because there's more use case. The intrinsic value is going to go up over time as well. So I don't see any problem with it.
Got it. So, Blood, do you have an opinion on ordinals? Do you think they're good or bad for Bitcoin? And is it fair to say that Stacks has the first mover advantage to kind of take the light from the ordinals as we know them right now?
Yeah, I mean, ordinals are actually like nothing new. They've been around since I think the inception. And you can always add additional data to your transaction or to the blockchain in your transaction. There's been years where people were saying that maybe we should ban Bitcoin's network because of some nasty things that have been embedded on the blockchain. That's another conversation for another day. I think that Stacks definitely has the first mover advantage, though they're not the first layer 2 for Bitcoin. If some of the OGs out there remember Omni was really kind of the first layer 2 or master coin. And that was actually what Tether ran on for many years on Bitcoin. So I think Stacks is doing it the right way, though. They're taking it mainstream. They're really basically using Bitcoin to its capacity, right? They're really taking it to the next level, and I think they will have great future ahead of them. At these prices, I gotta wait. The move is just too fast, too much. I'm not chasing green candles. I'm gonna wait for a red day, like you see this square. We're gonna wait for a red day, a red month. Actually, we need a red month because that's been a wild ride up. But yeah, Stacks is definitely something people should look into.
Gotcha. Okay, so Farmer Nash, if your portfolio is big in gaming tokens and you've got, Engine and Optimism and Illuvium and whatever you've got, and now this kind of like really this old chain with a project that's been around longer than most other games combined, now has NFTs, and they're actually kind of more usable than they were on Ethereum, a year and a half ago, right? Like the transaction fees on Bitcoin are not that expensive than Ethereum's ever were. Is this something like you kind of take a flyer on? Is this a curiosity for the NFT community? Do you think there's actual value in this? Or is this just kind of like, it's a bunch of old farts. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, look, so the NFT community has this weird thing against Bitcoin for some reason. they're like, hey, it's slow, it's not scalable, blah, 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 blah. Bitcoin was my first ever cryptocurrency that I purchased, right? So I have a soft spot for Bitcoin. I realized like the vision behind it and why it was created. So I have a big respect for Bitcoin. Now, if these ordinals, right? For anyone that doesn't know, we could just call them NFTs on Bitcoin, really. We'll just say that. It might not be exactly the same. We'll call them that. It really depends. Are there any special use cases, right? That NFTs on other chains can't do? So number one, I'm going to say no. Unless someone can explain one to me, then I'm just going to say, we could probably do things a lot faster and cheaper on other chains. And then number two, is there any type of collectible value or sentimental value? Probably, right? So if I do my research, maybe I'll find some good ordinal. Maybe there's projects, maybe there's like one of one pieces and things. These could quite literally, if Bitcoin gets mass adopted, these can quite literally be pieces of history, and people will most likely in the future pay top dollar for them. So I would be kind of cautiously optimistic and maybe find one or two that you like, or maybe there's communities out there, find them and see what they're doing and see who has the strongest community and maybe get behind them.
Interesting. So I want to go to Kelly with this question. So you have stacks. It's a layer 2 on Bitcoin. Both of them are considered commodities. And now you have NFTs that can be considered commodities. Has this propelled Bitcoin and stacks to a new level? Has this cleared all the regulatory hurdles to where we can have real-time NFTs coming in and onboarding? Like, is this the mass adoption thing for NFTs? We just don't know it yet.
Well, I think there's a lot of fear in the markets around this, and you all have talked about it here on Around the Blockchain as well. We've talked a lot about it here at the office of Hit Network. That there's a noticeable sort of avoidance of crypto terminology in some of the real world enterprise adoptions. Like if you think about Starbucks NFTs, which is essentially just frequent customer sort of point system. But in reality, if you look at it, it's actually NFTs, but they don't want to call it that. I know of a number of other large corporate enterprises that are moving into NFTs right now as well that are not yet announced, but they're some of their sort of wording is on those agreements is that it can be called anything other than NFT. And so I think that's a response at the current stage because we do have lack of clarity on the sense of regulation and what's going to be where that's going to go with Gary Gensler, who always makes very educated and well-informed decisions about what's going on with crypto regulations, as we all know, which is that's of course a joke. But the point here being is I think when we have stuff like stacks that is already sort of classified as a commodity, we have NFTs that are on that. I think if anything, it's helping strengthen the argument towards how these things should be classified. Because if things have already gone through the process and been designated as such, then we can't just pick and choose because this team's your homie and this one's not. It's like we need to have more than anything. And I think everybody within this space would agree with it. Whether they classify things as securities or commodities, it really doesn't matter at this point. Of course, it would affect a lot of things. But in the long run, we need that clarity because right now, everybody, every enterprise, every project, every potential investor, institutional investments, and not just NFTs, but crypto as a whole is really kind of put on hold at the moment. And we're not going to really see that massive super cycle that we all want to have, which I think we'll still have one more massive one that's going to actually blow 2020 out of the water. And that's not going to come until we get some clarity as to what the direction is going to be into the future. Because right now, it's still the wild, wild west.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Blood, so do you think that ordinals are actually better suited for a chain like Litecoin or even Dogecoin?
Yeah, because it would be faster. But I think this is ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, you zoom out, this is nothing really that's going to take the NFT industry by storm. I really don't think so. There are better platforms for NFTs to be utilized on and distributed on. Starting with Ethereum, but it's a whole list of them, right? So I think this is just a nice way to keep Bitcoin relevant in the category of not just being a commodity, a digital commodity, which is the category I put it in. I think Bitcoin does best just being a digital commodity. Let's not try to be everything to everyone. You're going to have other blockchains for other things. The whole Bitcoin maxi thing, I to this day cannot understand it. I just don't understand it. I really
Gotcha.
don't. So no, I don't think this will have much legs other than what Farmer said. You know, you may look up and find some of those NFT releases or ordinals that may hold some value in the future, but ultimately, nah, I'm not with it.
Gotcha. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's all the time we have for it. And I think it looks like Farmer Nash, first time out, a win is a win. You have won around the blockchain.
Oh,
It means there is no
That
cash
means
prize.
you owe us all 3 Bitcoin. I
You
believe,
owe
but
us
we'll send you
all,
back
yeah.
5.
Yeah, if you send us 3
Uh-oh.
Bitcoin, you will then get 10 Bitcoin. But go ahead and leave us with some parting thoughts, 30 seconds. Take it away, Farmer Nash. Congratulations.
yeah. Once again, guys, thank you so much for having me. As they say, always DYOR. And guys, if you're not a fan of NFTs, I really recommend you check it out. A lot of people have a bad rep for them, but they're literally a way to take self-custody of things that aren't monetary, right? If we all love Bitcoin, we love decentralization, then NFTs are quite literally like our identity and the next step in that. So I recommend everyone check them out. And give everyone on the panel a follow. Much love to you guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Farmer Nash, Kelly Kellam, Crypto Blood, and everyone here at Around the Blockchain. Really appreciate you guys hanging out. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button and go outside, touch some grass, call a friend on the phone. Remember to always smash the like button. Appreciate it.